My name is Joshua Boyt, and I'm the owner of Metronome Coffee, as well as the leader of the Metronome Missional Community with Soma communities. It's been a pretty awesome experience having Metronome. It's a pretty unique story how it all came to be. It all really began as a test of God really challenging my wife and I to believe and trust that He was sovereign and leading our life. And I've been working in coffee for over a decade, opening coffee shops for other people. And there was an opportunity for me to take a job in Australia, actually. And my wife and I went there and we're really praying, God, is this where you want us to go? And it was probably the first time as a couple, we actually asked God what to do, like honestly, because it was such a life drastic change. He was really faithful to really speak to us while we were there, and we really felt like that was not what we were supposed to do. And then a couple weeks later, we were approached by the owner of the building where Metronome is currently, and I'd met with him a couple times before to consult, and he kind of approached me and said, if you're interested, I've got this space. The people just went out of business here. If you want to put a coffee shop in, I'd love to foot the bill to do it. So basically the owner of the building paid for us to put Metronome in his building, and it was kind of a cool concept I'd been playing around with for a number of years with my wife. Metronome for us was always kind of a cool metaphor that God had revealed about understanding who we are in Him and our identity, because I know identity is one of the biggest issues we have as a people, is really knowing who we are and whose we are. And it came down to really understanding that all of life and all of creation was set to a rhythm, and I believe that rhythm to be God's heartbeat. And if we take the time to listen and understand His heartbeat, we find the rhythm of our own. And so many people in the world are really living a life of competing melodies, if you'll continue with the metaphor with me. And those competing melodies are all, some people are rushing the tempo of their heart, other people are depressed and jaded about life, and they're dragging the tempo. But as they find the rhythm they were made to live, they find that they're not a melody that has to be heard, but they're meant to be in harmony with all things, with everything created, like it says in the scriptures, that the rocks and trees cry out if we don't. So as they find their spot in being themselves as God created them to be, and their heart beating in time with the rhythm that He originated before the foundation of the world, that they find their harmony and they find their rest. And so that was the mission of what we do at Metronome, is really finding and creating a space where people can truly get to know the rhythm of their own heartbeat and settle into that, and not feel like they have to work so hard, but truly just be still and know that He is God. And so we've been open for about 3.5 years now. We opened the strike of midnight, January 1st, 2011. So that was kind of cool. We started at 1-1-1-1, like right on the button. It was kind of I like quirky metaphors and stuff like that. So it kind of fit in cool for us. But in our time here in Soma, we've been involved in a number of different missional communities. It took us a couple of years before we got really plugged in, but I think that was more a fault of our own, not really understanding that this was different than just a once a week type of gathering. We lived like within a couple blocks of the downtown building where we were meeting, and we'd come every Sunday, but it took us a while to really understand what it was to be the church. And we slowly got introduced to the missional community and did a couple there. And then in the process of having our shop open, we noticed that there was this community of people beginning to form within our not only our employees, but our customers as well. And so this natural formation of people spending time and space together, it came to our attention. We're like, this should be our missional community. And so in a kind of reversed way, we developed this missional community out of people that were already naturally meeting, rather than saying like, this is our mission, now let's find some people that want to be there. We were already doing it. So that was kind of a unique experience for us to basically naturally grow and develop into a missional community and have such a diverse mixture of people between staff and customers that were a part of it. So we've got people that are believers in Christ. We have people that are not yet believers. We have people that are exploring and delving into understanding their own sexuality. I mean, there are drastic extremes of people that are in this group, and so it gives us a big cross section of allowing God to reveal himself. And we live off of the basis of just believing that absolute truth has the power to prove itself in all scenarios. And by allowing there to be space through our love and community for God to just show up and reveal himself in the gospel, we've seen lives transformed. We've seen people that in the past have been grown up in the church and been hurt by it that are now understanding who Jesus is for the first time ever in their life. And we're getting customers that are, part of a family, and they're rejected everywhere else they go. And it's a pretty unique and fun thing to be a part of in that way. But logistically, it really it's been very unique. We've had some challenges in what we do, just because it was a very natural hangout kind of group. We were already getting together and having parties and having barbecues and stuff like that. So we have found the tension of the conflict of some people's idea of what we need to do with our time and how hard it is to call people to more when it comes to the fundamentals of what it is to be the church, when it comes to gather, grow, give, go, all these things that we are trying to draw people to. Some people are not there yet. So it's been hard in some ways for us to really trust God in moving everybody forward at varying degrees. But it's been great. It really has been great. It's been so nice to have it be where it feels like we're not having to like change hats from work and the day to day. We just are ourselves, and we're doing what we're doing. We have this business. We have these people in relationship with, and we're in that pursuit of truth together. So it's been a very, very fun experience. Some of the things we've learned having a missional community that is also a business is you have to be very intentional with people. You have to be very intentional with your time. Just like any other missional community, you really want to make sure that your focuses are the core principles of developing and growing disciples and being disciples ourselves. So a lot of what we've done is learn in front of the people that we're leading, but also find new ways that we can help people engage in that regular day-to-day at the coffee shop, with customers, with each other as staff members. Fortunately for us, we co-lead with our manager who runs our shop as well. So he's very intentional about engaging our customers and making sure that we're growing and developing them as individuals, as business people, as well as believers. And some are part of the missional community, some are not. So we get an opportunity to have a nice, diverse spread of how we love people, and being servants to everyone. So regardless of whether they're part of the group or not. But it's been a lot of fun. So I think probably some of the coolest fruit we've seen has definitely been just the changes in individuals who we never really thought would be leaders in our group. People that we looked at as our mission field, who quickly became those who are pulling us towards the gospel and hungering and thirsting for the things of God. And to me, there could not be anything greater than to see, one who you could see struggling and you could see broken, and see them change to be a person who now understands who they are and their identity, and changing as a parent, changing as a person, in our business, how they love the customers that come in, just everything transformed. But I love that change where it no longer becomes the person that we are, concerned with, but in some ways you look up to, and it's interesting how that shift happens. And that's happened to numerous people within our group. I definitely think what we're doing at Metronome is something that can be repeated and reproduced. There are so many amazing opportunities being a sort of third space where there is no preconceived notion or expectation when they walk through the door, other than I'm here for a cup of coffee to meet with a friend. And we definitely have seen a lot of benefit from that, like the intentional time of the mission, how we are in that shop running and operating a business. We have opportunity to basically be servants to people and love them well with our mission as a community, without ever having them come to a meeting or come to a gathering, but slowly welcoming them into relationships. So for those people that might be interested in doing something like this, the one thing I could focus on is make everything, if you're going to be a real business, you need to be a real business. You need to be a business that is just as intentional about the products you serve as the people you care about. It can't just be a mission or a church-run organization. People for so long have seen churches run things and expect them to just operate well because it's a church thing and you have your captive audience. You have to be spectacular in the world as much as you are in the church. So, being intentional and caring about the product you serve is just as much as an important factor as caring about your people. So we pride ourselves in having some of the best coffee in the world. And if we didn't have that, I don't really think we would be as missional. I think if we were just kind of serving mediocre product as a sort of bait and switch for getting people in to kind of win them to the kingdom, I think people can smell that right away. And we want people to understand that we live holistically changed by the power of the gospel, which means we intentionally care about all things, not just engagements on a word, face-to-face level, but even the interactions of serving, like preparing something for someone and transferring the intention and care through a cup of coffee. We're sending messages of love, whether people are ready to hear it or not. We're laying the groundwork on a spiritual level. I really believe that. And so that would be my one bit of advice for anybody that wants to do this, whether you meet in your cafe space or you're meeting in a home. The core of what you do needs to be focused on your intention and your purpose to do your absolute best under the glory of God. Because really, ultimately, that's what people need to see the difference between the rest of the world.